Kalani. I'm the Family Services Director for, Division Director for Family Services at the Northeast ARC. I've been at the Northeast ARC for about 8 years now. I did run the Applied Behavior Analysis program before this. And so I kind of got into human services because I have a 26-year-old son who has cerebral palsy and lives in an apartment in Cambridge. And so that's kind of how the assistive tech has kind of been a passion of mine, because he is living independently with the help of assistive tech and some remote supports. And he's very happy living with 2 other individuals that are disabled as well and have jobs and are working. So that's kind of how every time something around assistive tech comes up, I jump on it right away and like try to get involved in it as much as I can. So about a year ago, I was brainstorming with someone from the North Shore DDS office, and we were talking about family service funding and some extra money that they had for the 2 fiscal years ago. So we decided we would start up this assistive tech lending library that's very similar to what United Cerebral Palsy Association does out in Worcester and in Boston, but this would be here in the Northeast. So that's how we kind of got it started. It kind of started from the kind of backwards without a plan. And with a little bit of cash, not much. And now it's kind of morphing into, the technology forward DDS money and the RFRs, everybody applying for that. So we've been able to add to it a bit. So that's kind of how I got here. The Northeast ARC, we are now in a space, we're all over the place in the Northeast, but we have a big space now in the Center for Linking Lives, which is in the old Liberty Tree, well, yeah, like Carrie said, the Liberty Tree Mall. It was just kind of a dying mall, and we took over about 26,000 square feet. And we have a store there called Parcels, which is all things that are made by people with disabilities or by companies with disabilities. And we have a couple of early interventions here, and our forward-facing programs like our Family Support Center, our Autism Support Center, and this new Assistive Tech Center is located there. So that's kind of a little bit about me. Jeff will bounce on in a minute. He's between things, and he's the coordinator for the Assistive Tech Lending Library. So I'm going to share my screen. It's always bad if the assistive tech person can't do this, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see. There we go. So the Assistive Tech Lending Library, like I said, is located here at Independence Way, the Liberty Tree Mall. And assistive tech, I mean, most of you are probably kind of familiar, it wouldn't be on here, but assistive tech can really mean anything. So it can mean things like, small things like a spoon that helps you eat, or a pen that helps you write, all the way up to very complicated communication devices or wheelchairs. So it can be anything that kind of makes life, I always say kind of an easier way, just makes life easier for the person with a disability, helps them either modify or be successful with what they're working on. So that's kind of assistive tech. And these are some examples that I have of assistive tech. So, you can kind of see if the kids are younger, a trap chair, we would have, that would be assistive tech. The AFOs might be assistive tech, apps on your iPhone. So things that we regularly have around us can be considered assistive technology. So that's part of the problem, is defining it. So if you're in a school district, they're thinking of assistive tech as a Chromebook. And if you're out in a residential setting, they're thinking of assistive tech as a wheelchair. So just kind of getting everyone's head around what assistive tech is. And it's really kind of anything that can help a person with a disability. So these are some examples. So my son, Brian, like I said, he lives in an apartment on his own. And so we started by making the home smart, that was the first step. So, and that was just putting in a Google Home. Hey, Jeff. So putting in a Google Home or an Alexa or one of those devices. So he uses Google, and he has a Google Home, which controls his blinds, his air conditioning, his lights, his microwave, just about anything that you can think of. And it makes it much easier. He uses voice command for everything, since he has bad fine motor and low vision. So these are just simple examples of making it possible to live there and decrease your staffing by using assistive tech. These are some examples of things he has in his bathroom. So he has that grab bar, that exact grab bar, so he could put the toilet paper on and off, and it wasn't always up behind the toilet, falling into the toilet seat. He also has a Toto toilet that has a bidet on it with a remote control. And the problem that we were trying to solve there was they were constantly, there was 3 young men living in the apartment. Now it's 2 young men and a woman, but they still were using way too much toilet paper, clogging it up. One of them has very bad gross motor skills. So we're having a lot of issues with that. And the bidet has helped a bit for that. I have a lot less calls late at night to come unclog the toilet. So that's been helpful. This is the shower control that they have in their shower. It's a U by Moen control. And what it is, they have an app on their phone and they can set the temperature of the shower now. So instead of staff having to go in there, turn on the water, check to make sure it's right, you know, because I mean, he's 26 years old. They don't want somebody hanging out in there while they're getting undressed and get into the shower. So this actually helped, they could set the shower from their bedrooms. And when the shower hits 100 degrees, it'll let them know. They all can have their own temperature control. So if Charlie likes 102, his is 102. If Brian likes 99, his is 99. So it's a pretty user-friendly app that sets the temperature, and they can't burn themselves or go into a scalding hot shower. So that was kind of one of the things that was very helpful. And also they can see the temperature on there. They can also play music on it. I'm not sure they do, but they can. So that's kind of my section of the assistive tech, and kind of what in real life, what it's been used for in just making someone's life a little bit easier. So the main thing before I turn it over to Jeff that I kind of tell either parents or professionals is when using assistive tech, I mean, the main thing is finding out what's the issue that you want to solve, so that you're not just putting assistive tech into a home or into someone's life that is not going to be used. So what is the issue that you're trying to solve? So for the example was the toilet was clogging. So that was the issue we were trying to solve. Or you can't get onto Zoom, so you need a voice command for that so that you can join your class. So those are things to kind of think about. So I'll let Jeff tell you a little bit more about the assistive tech lending library here and how it operates. And basically the premise of it is that you can come in and try any device out, anything you can think of. We have apps, we have everything, you know, from little to big, that you can have an individual try out, make sure it works. They can borrow it for, you know, 2 to 4 weeks. And if it seems like it's going to work for them, then we can help them find a way to buy it. But I'm probably taking Jeff's part, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, Jeff, and you can tell them a little bit more about the library.
Yeah, before you do, Jeff, I'm hoping that can you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about your background? That'd be
sure.
awesome.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jeff Boucher. I'm the Assistive Technology Coordinator for the Northeast ARC. I apologize for being late. It's although things are kind of getting back to normal, or whatever normal was, still having weird schedules with my daughter's school and stuff. So I appreciate your flexibility and allowing me to come in a little late. My background is actually I started working in the support, disabilities support, when I was just out of college about 10 or so years ago. I began working at the Perkins School for the Blind, and I worked in their secondary program, and so I had the experience of working with the individuals there, both in their school, and then after school and on the weekends in their sort of daily life. So, and then after that, I began working at a private school down in Waltham, a for-profit private school that focused on individuals with autism spectrum disorder and other sort of developmental delays. And I worked there for about 8 years. And in both of those contexts, I was kind of I didn't really, I somewhat received some technology training, but I was just kind of the guy that would, whenever there was like a new device or thing that was being offered, I would be the first one to try to, figure it out, get the training on it, things like that. I think I also spent a lot of time with, in both those situations with OTs that shared a lot of knowledge with me about the sort of problem solving approach that they would take with individuals. It's a lot like Stacy said. You want to focus on like what is the specific situation, the specific problem you're trying to solve. And I think one of the things that we're running into now is like a big secondary concern is what is like the training or support that is going to need to be offered once that device or that technology is being implemented. Because well, some things are kind of are designed and they're a little bit intuitive. Other technologies cannot be so, depending on what the situation is. And so that that sort of beginning, ongoing level of, well, the ongoing level of support and that sort of beginning stages of training is something we're finding to be, and just education is something we're finding to be very important. So this slide here, we're just kind of describing the process that you go through to get some consultation from our services. We have a little form on the Northeast ARC website that sort of starts the communication between us. And I usually get in touch with somebody a few days, at least that day or within 24 hours of them sending that to me. And we usually schedule a meeting to either, a majority of people are coming in to the tech library to kind of try things out. But during like the pandemic, oftentimes I was like going out as like a sort of on-call sort of person to kind of either bring something for them to try or go to their home and try to solve the problem. And so after trialing a device or in us kind of consulting, there is the option. Some people just find like trying it in the space. They're like, oh, this will work. This is great, and they move on. Other people have found that they want to try it out, and they can do so for like 2 to 4 weeks. And we can kind of, after that stage, you kind of talk through again like what their experience was, if this would be a solution or not, and kind of go from there. Either start back up at the beginning consultation part, or and then what's nice about the new Center for Linking Lives in the Liberty Tree Mall for the Northeast ARC is the all of our program and staff are a lot more are all in the same space now. So I find it a lot easier to go to different people that have a little bit more knowledge than me about sort of funding sources and things like that, and we can set up meetings with those people to try to assist people in getting funding that they need. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit. Stacy kind of did a good job of talking about like what was sort of the impetus for starting this. Starting the library, and I'm just going to talk about some kind of future projects that we got going on. So we've started a couple of partnerships with some technology companies in the area, one of which is Level Up. I'll be sharing a little bit more about them in a little bit, but they're like a smart home technology company. And, but one of the things we're doing is working with them to kind of improve our assistive technology library. I like to call it Assistive Tech Library 2.0. We're trying to make the space a little more intuitive, so that when you come in, you can kind of see how the technology, some of the more like the smart home technologies and stuff. We want to make it a little more intuitive, so that when you go into the space, it makes sense. Like you kind of feel like, oh, this is how my room or space would be set up with these things. This is how I would use this item. Excuse me, and then and you wouldn't have to depend on like me being there or somebody showing you it. You just kind of go into the space and be like, oh, okay, this is how this works. So that's our hope with that. We're also looking to upload our inventory, the inventory of the AT library, onto our website. It's one of the problems I didn't foresee, that you kind of, once you get into the work, you kind of see these things. But there's a lot of people who just like don't know what we have to offer, don't know what they could possibly lend out, what we could possibly lend out to them. So we're in the beginning stages of trying to upload that inventory online so that that would be more accessible to everybody. And then, so now I'm going to just talk a little bit about our partnerships with Life Sherpa, Care Coach, and Level Up. Do you want to go to the next slide, Stacy? So I think Kathy Marks, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, but I think Kathy Marks, she's our director of like employment services and residential too. Is that true?
No, so Kathy Marks is community and work supports.
Oh, yeah, work support, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So getting individuals out into the community and in their work. And this is kind of, and Jeff could tell you more about it, but this is the, so kind of the overall partnerships that we built were to smarten up the home with Level Up. And then Care.Coach is our remote support that Jeff will talk about. And then Life Sherpa was a way that you can take it out into the public. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so there's so we're working with them. They're like a remote support service platform. What that means is there's a high level of customizability of what we can do with the app. So we're working with like sort of their technicians to describe how individuals in our programs would use the app. And then they're kind of helping us design the services through the app for these individuals. So a lot of the pieces of it are like scheduling routines, and then like notifications, and then a big part of it is communication as well. And so Kathy Marks, I think, was really interested in it for the job coaches to be using with our individuals. And so you can input their work schedule into the app so they get notifications on when they're supposed to get ready for work, when they're supposed to leave, job tasks that they're supposed to do at work. There's also ways to upload like video and tutorials in it. So if you have a individual who just needs a reminder, like I know like I have to do this job, like I know I have to make a cappuccino in the coffee shop, but I don't remember how all the steps. Those can be uploaded into the app, so they have rather than needing a job coach on site with them, they can use the app to remind them of how to do certain things at their job.
Yeah, so a good example, I can give you an example of that one, Jeff. So a good example of that is we have 2 individuals that we hired to do our, as a cleaning company here at the ARC. And they would keep forgetting just one section here or there. And staff, the alternative was have staff here every night to say, did you check off that? Did you check off that? Did you check off that? The app can be used for that. So that's an example, just like Jeff was saying, the same as the individual in our coffee shop, but it's just a way of reminding without having to have actual physical staff on hand with constant reminders, so it makes them feel more independent and it reduces staffing. So that's a good example of how we're using that.
Yeah, and there's also part of the platform is also being able to like text and call job coaches. So if they do encounter a problem, right in that same user interface, there is the ability to contact the job coaches, send them a quick text like, hey, I'm a little in trouble. So there's also pieces of it that make self-advocacy a little bit easier for some individuals. Yeah, there's I could go on and on about it. I don't know how much you guys want to know. There's like a lot of different pieces to it, but I think that gives a sense. The last thing I just want to say, so we're beginning a pilot program with a couple. I think we have 6 individuals from the employment services marked out to like start the app. So we're working on getting that in the process. We're finalizing that pilot program with them. And then we have 2 RFRs that we have applied for with the state to sort of improve the services that we're trying to offer individuals. One is sort of becoming an assistive technology provider, and the difference of what we're doing now and what we would be able to do with this RFR is we'd start to be able to provide assistive technology assessments to individuals. So DDS or other state providers could refer people to the ARC to receive assistive technology assessment. And then part of that would just be creating, sort of diagnosing the problem, what technology would be useful for solving this, and creating a support plan related to that. So that's pretty exciting. It's a little more official way of doing what we have already started to try to do. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to do that in the near future. And then another exciting program we're trying to create is a remote, become a remote services provider. And what that means is we would be trying to utilize technology in people's homes and out in the community to monitor them versus having live-in staff or being part of group homes. So what's exciting to me about it is it creates these more collaborative plans, both within our agency of the Northeast ARC, and also with like the individuals, their current caregivers, their in-home support people. So I feel like it more brings us closer to that model of like it takes a village. Like I feel like it's getting all these people actually communicating and working together more closely, rather than like, well, you guys do this, you guys do that, and nobody's really communicating or talking. So that's like the exciting part about it to me. And I think the secondary piece too is that ideally the individuals would feel more integrated into their local community than they have been in the past, because they'll individuals will be able to live in their homes or live in an apartment or as independently as possible, but also be more integrated into the community supports and those people that are around them. Do you want to go to the next slide? Yeah. So for that, so part of our remote services plan, we're working with these two companies that I mentioned earlier, Care Coach and Level Up. And you can see Care Coach is this tablet that the woman is pointing to in the picture. And excuse me, how it works is there is the tablet itself comes ready to go. It has internet connectivity already provided. It has the webcam already in it. It's sort of locked down, so the tablet is only able to be used for this Care Coach support. And it has a little avatar on it. I think you can choose a dog or a cat. And when an individual presses on the screen, it can wake up the avatar, and that will connect them with a support staff, a remote support staff that can answer their questions, that can help them problem solve something. There's also the ability through the app at certain times, that person, the support staff, will talk to the individual, remind them about medications, try to help them with wellness plans, all things like that. So
yeah, I can give you for the Care Coach. Yeah, So my son uses Care.Coach, and you can set up different times for it to wake up itself, like Jeff said, for reminders. And the beauty of it is that it's a person on the other end, so it's somebody with common sense. It's not a Google, like he uses Google for other things, but this is, an individual. So if you have an emergency, they can call 911 for you. They can contact your family or your caregiver. They also can answer questions from a human aspect if you're asking, like, his current goal is to get a 6-pack abs. So they set up the 6-pack abs workout with him, but they also could tell him common sense that, you shouldn't do this today, or you shouldn't do that, or it's pouring rain out, don't go do that, or, so it's actually a person. So that's our kind of two-way remote service portion of hopefully of our remote services. So that's that kind of a little bit of real time for that product.
And I think that the device also has the ability for other, like the individual's caregivers or doctors to be able to sort of telehealth or video call right into the individual. So if there's a certain time, if like the person's caretakers wanted to kind of check in, see how things were looking in the house, they could start a video session with them. Or if the individual needed sort of telehealth services, they could use this tablet for that, and it can make that a little more accessible, a little easier. It's like one device, and then the other exciting partnership we have going on is with this Level Up Automation. They are a smart home like a home upgrade kind of company. And so I think what they've been doing in the past is, individuals, any individual, not somebody who necessarily has a disability or anything like that, who wanted to, put in different smart home technologies into their home, like the one Stacy described earlier. They could contract with Level Up. Level Up kind of talks them through what they want and kind of comes up with a plan and a cost, and and then they'll install and create those services for that individual. So we've been working with them to see how they could help us sort of introduce technology more into our organization and into the homes of the people we serve. As far as like the remote service platform goes, what they're really helping a lot with is the sort of the in-home, like sort of sensors and cameras and those things that a remote support plan would need in order to like monitor remotely the house. So there's like sensors around, that could be around the oven or and in the kitchen, so that they could it could alert people that like, oh, the stove is still on even though the individual isn't around it. I think smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors would also be included in that. Like they would send signals to like remote service dashboards so if a smoke alarm was going off or carbon monoxide detector was going off, it would alert remote staff.
Yeah, Jeff, I can give you a real world for that one too. So
cool.
So when I talked to you guys about the toilet overflowing, so the real world for that one is that they put a sensor in for flooding. So it was just a simple, that everybody gets, near your washer or dryer, but they had it in the bathroom so that if they overflow the toilet and they started flooding, I would get an alert that said it was flooding in the bathroom. So that's like a level up type thing. So not just the smoke, the fire, flooding, a door alarm, window alarms. And the beauty of Level Up is they can connect it all to one thing, so that I can get a notice saying, okay, one of these sensors is going off. So depending on how much support your individual needed, like we had an example of someone in Connecticut that was using it, and they had the sensor actually on the guy's chair, because every day he would come in after work and he would take a half an hour to get his stuff all put away and go to the chair. And so if he didn't hit the chair by that time, the staff would get a notice, hey, turn on the camera, take a look, is he home? So it can be simple things like that just gives the staff at a remote spot enough to know, okay, I got to check it out and make sure he made it home. So that's kind of a good example.
Yeah, yeah. And the idea is that then, so instead of having like a live-in person, like Stephanie was saying, Stacy was, I don't know, I said Stacy was, that Stacy was saying, instead of having these individuals live in group or congregate care settings, they'd be identifying individuals that could benefit from this. You can use these sensor technologies to sort of lighten the burden on actual in-person staff, and then we would have staff that are staff if it was necessary, ready to go if there was like a case where the individual needed somebody on site. But it's also, like I was saying earlier, connecting with those natural supports, those caregivers, those neighbors, people that are actually in their immediate community, to also like integrate them into these plans, to be able to utilize those contacts as well to check in on people. So this is just my contact info. Sorry, Stacey, I didn't put yours in. I don't know. Maybe you appreciate not having your contact info in there. But this is just how to get in touch with me if you have any more questions about assistive technology, if you have any questions about the new programs we're trying to create or anything like that. And I guess we probably have some time for questions right now. Carrie, is that true?
Yes, thank you. So, great presentation, and just appreciate all those, what that broad definition of assisted technology is, and the ways to the future, which are exciting. So I had a question. I was just wondering, do you have to live in the Northeast to be able to access your center?
No, we've had it set up. So we've had some funding from North Shore. So depending on particular things you might need, like you might have to be in a DDS region for certain things, but we have it set up for all over the state. It doesn't matter. It's not really funded, so it's okay. And once, hopefully with funding from the grant, there might be from the RFR, we might have to have certain restrictions on what we can provide in the Northeast, depending on how that kind of flushes out. But the plan is to serve the whole state. The funding may just be different. So you might get an SRF if you're coming from a DDS region that can refer to us, but if not, then we would have to figure it out from there. It's kind of a work in progress.
Yeah, but I'm always happy to answer questions and consult with people if they have. So that, as far as that goes, like anybody can talk to me whenever they would like. I think it would be hard probably to access the assistive technology lending library if you're not in the area. I don't know if you want to travel, I guess. That's up to you, but.
Yeah, we're hoping that we'll have a big resource list that Jeff's working with our marketing people to put it all online. But once we have the big resource list too, we can kind of connect you with with companies like that we're working with, or other providers of services. So hopefully, no matter what, we'll get a large resource list. So just like a center would do, be able to connect you with other resources.
Yeah, like I've been connecting a lot. Like it just so happens that a lot of the individuals I've been working with recently have augmentative communication devices, and so I've been on the phone and stuff with a lot of those companies. So I'd be happy to connect people with companies as well in the future.
Great. How about any questions? You can just unmute yourself and okay.
Yeah, quick
Sheldon?
question. We're a group. I work with Corporation for Independent Living. We're a group that builds homes. We don't actually run any of the homes. We're not a provider of services. We finance, develop the homes, and build them. And right now we've got about somewhere between 15 and 20 homes in Massachusetts alone under development. So I wondered if you had any resource, and I apologize if I missed it while you were talking earlier, but I wonder if you had a resource or some website that specifically talks about when building the house and designing the house now, what, you know, design elements should we include that's going to make the use of technology easier, better, whatever? Because again, it's like, you know, the people, the provider groups that are going to take the homes, usually they know the people who are coming in. But if we ask them what kind of technology or anything, you know, we aren't getting a lot of feedback from them. So, I mean, my question, and it's, you know, or it comes later, it's something simple like an extra phone line or a, you know, like, or a couple of things you showed, like putting up the grab bar or the different kind of toilet paper thing. That's, or changing the toilet, that's not a big deal. So I'm just looking to see if there's any resource that you know of, that something that we can use for our designers, the designers we work with, to ahead of time.
So we are really kind of thinking, we're kind of trying to do exactly what you're talking about. So I used aging in place certified builders when I started, but the woman from Level Up, we can connect you with her. She would be a good resource to talk to your builders or contractors that about things that might be necessary, like extra cables or wiring, but we have not yet connected, and we're interested in connecting with builders and architects on, you know, if you're going to put in a lift for a wheelchair or an individual, do you have to have more strengthening in this area? Do you have to, you know what I mean? So we are in the same spot you're in, Sheldon. We don't really have an answer to that. We are looking for that. That's kind of the next step, is how do we find builders? Like, so far what I've found have been mostly people that have been certified in aging in place. And that's kind of where I've been going to when I've needed resources like that. But we've been talking to an individual that works with the Northeast Arc, who's building at home, and we've been trying to find resources for them as well. So I can certainly talk to you about this after too. I'll send you an email and give you what resources I do have, and maybe we can exchange resources. Do you have homes out here that you're building in the Northeast too, or?
Well, I've talked with Kathleen, you know, and I've talked with Joanne, you know, in the past. So,
okay.
You know, the idea, she knows who we are. So the idea though is that we're working with some people in the aging field, which is, my career has been half in aging and half in IDD kind of things. So, you know, I know the carryover, and I know the issues we're looking at, but we're working more now with artificial intelligence and the issues around telehealth. So some of that is playing into it too. So, you know, and I just want to make sure though that we're looking at the basics, because again, if we're spending $1 million building a house now, we might as well make sure we get all the right stuff in there.
Yeah, well, Joanne has definitely got us going on that, so we're with you on that.
All right, so yes, if you, if, I don't know, you get my email through this, right? Because I think I had to provide it. If you could get back in touch, I mean, I'd love to put you in touch with our actual developers and, you know, some of the leadership we have that would looking at this around the country. So
that would be great. That would be
great. Sheldon, actually, if you could put your email in the chat box, that would be great.
Or I can put mine if
you want. Is this like a test or something? Because
I can put mine in here.
Wait, no, I got it. I'll just put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also curious, like the immediate thing that I thought of is just a lot of sort of universal design people. I don't have any contacts off the top of my head, but when I'll try to get in touch with you with some of the people that I have that I know that do that kind of stuff.
And I've definitely gone to the universal design, what's it called on Canal Street, the Center for Universal Design, I think it's called. It's right on Canal Street across from the garden, the TD Garden. And they have like lunchtime seminars with different people from all over, and it's mostly architectural and building. So that might be a good, Jeff could probably put you in touch with them.
Okay. Well, we're working a lot with like Hartford Healthcare and some people at Yale and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I just don't want to see things kind of fall through the cracks here. You know, as long as we're doing it, let's include the telehealth as well as all this other stuff. You know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I didn't mean I just had to ask it. So anything else? If you can send me, I put my email address in there, and I think I did it right.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
Now, who's human-centered?
Oh,
Eric.
there you go. Yeah.
Eric put that in.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi,
Thank
Eric.
you,
Okay.
Eric.
Human-centered design. Okay.
You know, I just, I'm kind of impressed with what, you know, older Americans, the pace that they have set to be able to maintain, you know, stay in their homes, and how, you know, it'd be interesting to formulate more partnerships with elder services or aging services.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
that's,
because they've
yeah.
they've been doing this for a while, and you know, what have they found out and that sort of thing. And I know, Stacy, that's how you got the care.com
Yeah.
or the, you know, that device for your son and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. But how about anybody have any questions?
I have a ton of questions. I work for Easter Seals, Massachusetts.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I run their assistive technology division. I think, Jeff, you spoke with someone from our company, maybe in April.
I
Michelle.
did, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was Michelle, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, because we also run 2 loan centers for Mass Match. Is this something that's open to the public that we could tell people about, or is this specific to DDS population?
It's open. You can definitely refer people, and that's kind of, you were kind of my idea. I went out to your Worcester one, and I was like, oh,
Oh.
we got to do this. Yeah, so
Oh.
you can definitely refer people here, and we definitely refer people to yours when we hear. So yeah, I went to your one on you have one on South Street too, right?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
actually, I don't know if you know who Ann Shore was, but before she left, she was able to send some funding our way to purchase a mobile ATRC van that we're going to be able to.
That's what we want to do. So I'll
Yeah,
call you.
so we're just looking at some vehicles now, but
Okay.
still in the works. But so how would this work? How many devices are there? Is it geared towards ASD, ISD, or is there an abundance of different kinds of technologies? What's the whole loan process like?
Yeah, there's like an abundance. We're adding stuff kind of all the time. So we, I think any sort of life domain you can think of, I think we have
Okay.
stuff for that. The best way is like in the presentation there was a link to our website, and that's like the easiest way for people to get in touch with me. It's just like a short form where they can fill out their name and kind of what they're looking for a consultation with. Just so I don't go in blind with when I call them, but like I have an idea of like, oh, they're like thinking of communication, or they're thinking of sort of executive functioning help or smart home, that kind of thing. And then usually now people have been coming to the center, but I'm happy to also go out to them depending on the distance of where they are. And yeah, then I would bring some stuff for them to trial, and if they wanted to keep it for 2 weeks, we just have like 2 forms that they would sign, and just about like you know, the typical sort of care of the device, using it for what we recommended, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then they can keep it for 2 to 4 weeks, and if they needed it for longer than that, we just asked to get in touch with them. But I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, sure. Are you using any sort of database to manage the inventory? How are you tracking loans and that kind of stuff?
Not yet. We're kind of in the process of developing that. We don't have we still have like a small enough inventory where it's not overwhelming. Like
Gotcha.
it's not like your inventory at Easter Seals. You guys have tons of stuff.
But we were thinking of using one though that we use for our store, so it has a barcode and you can scan.
Oh, nice.
it. Yeah. So
Yeah, cool. There is the one that we use is called AT for All, which is really cheap per year. I think we pay maybe like $200 for the whole year. And it's designed to manage an assistive technology inventory, and it processes the loan. So you initiate the loan in there, it spits out the paperwork, that kind of stuff.
Oh.
So if you want something like that, I'd be happy to get you in touch with them. But barcodes would be cool too. So
Yeah.
what else? I wrote down a few questions here. So what was the genesis of funding? Did you get state funding? I missed the very beginning of your presentation.
Yeah, so I just got, you know how the end of the fiscal year, DDS always seems to have some cash.
Yeah,
And this was not this fiscal year, it was last fiscal year.
Okay,
So it was just me in the North Shore area office.
cool.
Yeah, but so, and then we're gonna apply for those two RFRs. that are
Yep.
out Now, so the
Yep.
technology forward one, so hopefully, and Jeff and our actual supplies are paid for with an annualized DDS contract, so it's a pretty flexible contract. It's not a huge amount, but it pays for Jeff's salary and then adding some devices every year.
That's good. Nice. Awesome.
We don't use
Yeah.
Mass Match though.
Yeah, they have MRC, has its own rules about who can participate and all that stuff. That's not true with Mass Match. Anybody can use the loan stuff, but some of the other AT programs, DDS folks are excluded. So, and Jeff, I'm sure, did Michelle talk to you about the various financial loan programs that we have? There's 3 of them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
She did.
So good. So you're aware of.
I need to get back in touch with her. She was like such a good resource, and I feel like I've had questions, but I just have neglected to.
It's
talk to her
overwhelming.
about them. Yeah.
Because we have people we've worked with for a long time, and they still can't keep all the loan programs straight. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. So that's helpful to know. And if you ever get, marketing stuff, we'd be happy to put it in our centers too, to let people know, hey, if you're on the North Shore, this group is available to help out with some stuff. And
Yeah,
we're also
Jeff, get it to you.
we're also working with DDS on a program called College Navigator.
Oh, we have that too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let that group know, because you have more, I think, specific technologies for that population, those 2 companies you managed with your partnership.
Yeah, and you know what else we have, Eric? So we have the college navigation contract, but we also have an adult autism support center, which is brand new. And so it's for individuals that are high functioning or they're ASD no ID. And they, so a lot of them are going to college and kind of navigating that. And they've been using a lot of Jeff's resources.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of been geared towards them. So yeah, definitely. We serve the whole of Northeast. So we have somebody out in like Acton, Boston. I know we have a different individual in each area. So, that's a good resource too, that they can tap into.
Cool, thanks. That's all.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
I had another question. What about troubleshooting? I mean, I think you get these great assistive technology devices, and then something doesn't go right, or do you offer any kind of help in terms of training or teaching or troubleshooting when there's problems? Just call 1-800-JEFF. Or
I wish I had that number. So I think, there's kind of a couple of answers to that question. I think right now it's just sort of as things come up, people have gotten in touch with me, and it's a little more just sort of casual, up in the air. I have this problem with my device. Like, can you help me solve it, kind of thing. I think as these new funding sources that we're trying to acquire, I think those would have more formalized technology training involved in them, and I think technology training and also ongoing support. So we would have a lot of those systems that like Level Up, say, would put into a home. They have ways of also monitoring the system, so that if like something problematic is happening with the internet connectivity or wireless connection, they would be able to be aware of that. Also, our other sort of technological problems that may happen with those technologies, that especially with like the smart home stuff, those things might not, the individual may not be necessarily utilizing them all for a certain support. So I think in designing those plans, you really kind of tried to think about how to monitor those systems without necessarily needing the individual or their caretakers to like, I need to check if this motion sensor is still working, down, or the smoke alarm or something, but yeah, if for like I've been in touch with an individual who's having some trouble with his. He has a Tobii Dynavox. So I initially like consulted with them. A few weeks later, the device kind of was in need of repair, so I kind of arranged all the repair, sent it out for them, got them a loaner device, all those kinds of things. So if there are support needs for individuals in the future, I'd be happy to be working on those things with them as well.
Yeah, and if we do get the technology forward RFR, then that will help because we can hire AT coordinators. And we were working with United Cerebral Palsy Association of Western Mass. They're going to offer us some training because they got some of the money carried similar to you, the end of the year kind of tech money. And they told us they'd do some training for our individuals so that our direct care staff can be AT trained.
Great.
Different things. So hopefully, you know, between all these different collaborations, you know, everyone will be able to hire AT coordinators when we need them, you know. So that's the hope.
Terrific. Yeah, no, so many advancements in such a little time. It's really exciting. How about anybody else have questions they'd like to ask Stacy or Jeff? You can just unmute and ask away. Okay, well, I appreciate all of you coming on today and hearing more about the Northeast Arc. And I'm excited for its possibilities and its growth. And thanks, Eric, for sharing about you know, your programs and services as well. And it's really great to see this developing across Massachusetts for people. So, and then Stacy, if you could send me your PowerPoint, I'll send it off to the folks who registered for this webinar today. And thanks again for presenting, and thanks to all of you for attending today. So have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
everybody.
right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.